Air conditioner's broke. It's humid in here. As long as I don't show myself from the head or neck down, upper shoulders, I think we'll be all right. These are random records. All my records are pretty random because I don't listen to them as much as I listen to the CDs. I usually take them, listen to them a couple times, throw them in the closet, you know, when I buy them. I want to keep them in good shape. Of course, I don't have the Blake sleeves or anything like this. This is Uriah Heep. It's called Sweet Freedom. I picked this up at Goodwill within the last few years. Very happy that I picked it up, listened to it a couple times. I remember that side 1 was a lot better than side 2. I think Mick Box is right there in the middle. This is an interesting guy. He looks like a friend of mine from high school. Pretty good album. The thing about Uriah Heep is they got a ton of albums. But guess what? Almost every single one of them's good. My parents had a couple Uriah Heep albums. I think they had Wonder World and Demons and Wizards. And when I was young, I listened to those a couple times and I thought, wow, these are really good. But, you know, peer pressure and all that succumbed to kind of the more poppy music. And they didn't play any Uriah Heep on FM radio. So I didn't get a chance. I got a chance, but I didn't take the opportunity to listen to them as much as I should have. And I do regret that because they are proggy, they are a little bit poppy, their songs are long, they are heavy, and they are really good. And they have a catalog of like 30 albums, and almost every one of them's good. They're still doing it now. I think their last album came out 2000, it sounds like an even number, 2016, 2018, and I think the name of it, Soul Survivors. It's good. Junior Wilson, is that Junior Walker? I picked this up at Goodwill. You can see the Goodwill sticker back here. You know, it was made on Soul Records. I don't know much about Soul Records. I mostly know about Blue Note and Prestige. Of course, you're not going to find very many of them. There's the label right there. You know, this album was made in '66. It's not bad. It's but the songs are really short. They got a song on here called Brainwasher. It's interesting, and they have a version of Moonlight in Vermont. Although I don't remember exactly what this sounded like. But what's always a turnoff for me is that jazz, if the songs aren't long, and these are not long songs, 2, 3, 4 minutes long a piece, I get really turned off quick. I like for my jazz to be a little bit longer. And Junior Walker, the sax player, it's got organ, drums, and guitar. I don't know who the guitarist is. He looks familiar, but I just don't know who he is off the top of my head. I don't listen to that genre of jazz a lot. I like the stuff with that are less poppy and longer songs. Kissing the Pink by Naked. This is a punk rock band. I don't know what this sounds like. I remember finding it at Savers. Savers is a thrift store. And it's supposedly worth money. It's punk rock. I don't know much about it. This is Dream Theater's first album. If you know who Dream Theater is, Mike Portnoy, John Petrucci, I think is his name. They're just a very, very kind of progressive type metal type deal. But this first album is more poppy. Now this album is 50-something minutes long. And I don't know how they fit all this onto here. I've listened to it before, and I don't remember the sound quality being very good. This is before their singer, James LaBrie. And James LaBrie was a singer that they went out and found when they found out that this singer wasn't that good or didn't fit their music very well. I always think that's sad when they do that because I think that's a custom label. I always think that's sad when they do that because, you know, American singers are not that good to begin with. And why do you need one that sings really high pitched? And then after years and years and years, they can't sing high pitched anymore. So what do you do with them? Because their voice is blown out. So that's always a problem for me when it comes to this type of music. I remember this album being okay. Now, the stuff that they do is so technical. The stuff that Dream Theater does is just so technical that you have to appreciate it. But it doesn't necessarily have to be technical. They are fairly progressive band. They're more progressive than a band like Uriah Heep. ELO, Time, this is probably my favorite album by them, although I don't really like ELO that much. Look at how many songs are on there. It's just crazy. I'm trying to think of what songs they're famous for, and for whatever reason I can't think of them. They got one or two of them that are famous, and I can't think of them off the top of my head. Booker Irving, back from the gig. Booker Irving didn't get a lot of exposure, and he played for Prestige and Blue Note in the 60s, but he didn't get a lot of exposure. He's really good. The 3 or 4 albums that he did for Blue Note are really good. This album's kind of falling apart, but you see it says Blue Note reissues. These are actually pretty good sound quality. It's about about 160 gram piece of vinyl here. You know, the book is falling apart. But here's the label. It's pressed on, it's almost 180 gram. I mean, it's pressed. Heavy, 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 heavy. Am I holding that right? Let's see here. See that little Blue Note label? That's not the original Blue Note label, but that's the one that they used for these reissues. I'm going to set this off to the side. I'm not going to try to stick it back in there. I'll probably end up breaking it. This is Fragile by Yes. The cover is beat to hell, but the vinyl is in mint condition. You can pick these up cheap. They press so many of these. You can probably still, in this day and age, you know, if you don't care what the cover looks like, you can probably still find one for $1 somewhere. The vinyl's mint. This is probably my favorite album by them, maybe Relayer, but just the singing of John Anderson. Distant, just the way he inflects things and all that, it really works out well. Yeah, the cover's beat. Little Fragile Earth there. Yeah, but this is a really good album. You know, if I was to rank albums, that would be in the top 100. If you find this at a garage sale, get it. Bob Seger. Night Moves, I think's the name of it. Night Moves, yeah. Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, you know, they got that southern rock sound, but the first 2 songs on here, Rock and Roll Never Forgets and Night Moves, those are famous songs. You know, just not a bad pressing. Let's see what the insert, this is all falling apart. I found it at a garage or sale or something. But, you know, it's always nice to have vinyl to listen to when you want to listen to vinyl. Hank Crawford, I don't know what this sounds like. It looks like it's got a bunch of shorter songs on it, 5, 3, 5, 2-minute long songs. It's got a lot of, it's made in 1972. It's got a lot of players on it. It's got a vibraphone player. I see Grover Washington here. Pepper Adams, which is one of my favorite baritone sax players, but I really only like him when he plays for Blue Note. He's a baritone sax player. He did a lot with Donald Byrd, which is a trumpet player. And you got Ron Carter on bass, which is Miles Davis' bass player. Super famous. Kind of a weird guy, but super famous. That's Hank Crawford. Help Make It Through the Night is the name of it. I think it was 1971, 1972. So I had to set that on the floor. Jim Pepper. This is a Native American. I shouldn't say that word, Indian. A Native American sax player. Did a lot of psychedelic stuff. My daughter put a sticker on this. Look. And you know, it's just kind of out there. I like it, and I like it for what it is. A lot of Native American sounding music. You see the Native American symbolism around it. I think that's die cut. Yeah, it's die cut, so when you pull it out, it looks like that. And Native Americans there. Amazing what they had to go through because of us. Little River Band, and that's a good album. And he's got about 5 or 10 of them, and they're all just pretty good, pretty ambient, and just interesting stuff. Little River Band, I know why I picked this up. I saw them in concert in the late 90s. It's on EMI and Capitol. Do I like Little River Band? Well, you know, my parents had the album. I don't remember, Old Fat Man in the Bathtub or something like that. Capitol label. You know, this is a later album. I can't find the year on it, and I'm not going to spend too much time looking for it. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. Rush, Signals. It embodies a time and a place. And this definitely, whatever you think of Rush, and this is kind of falling apart too. Whatever you think of Rush, whatever you think of them, this album makes sense to me. It reminds me of the Tallahassee Mall, and that's kind of the vibe that they're getting at. That's kind of what they want you to see, is kind of the mediocrity of the masses and how we're brought down by the rich folk, the elite, and how they kind of control us. And that's what the music embodies, and I think that's the point they're trying to get across by the lyrics. You know, the minute I hear it, the minute I hear the song Subdivisions, which is the first song, I begin to think like that. You know, I never really lived in a subdivision. I mostly lived in ghettos, but I begin to automatically go to that place that makes me feel that kind of emptiness, but at the same time a little bit of charm to it. Just being a marginalized person and what that entails, you know, kind of like they can make fun of us for being a certain way and the elite can hold us down, but at the same time we are the people. And you know, you can go to a baseball game or something like that and you can feel that culture. You can go to a mall, or you could go to a mall back then and kind of feel that culture and what that is. Subdivisions, ghettos, they all have their culture. They all have their merit in society. Of course, they're marginalized, disenfranchised people, and I think that's what the music's trying to get across. Now, what I say is when it comes to a record like this, you're thinking, well, these are rich white folks, so what do they care? And plus, they're Canadian, but that's what they were trying to get across. That's what they were going for. You know, you can say what you will about who they are and what they represent, and you know, the Ayn Rand stuff that they were into and stuff like that. You can say whatever you want to, but this music brings me back to those times, and it means something to me. I remember these songs, specifically the song Subdivisions, but I remember some of these songs being played on the radio. I remember hearing this several times when I was young, and when I hear it, that's what I hear. That's the way I understand this music. All right, I might be able to pull some more out. I might not. Look at my forehead. I'm sweating. I'll see you guys.